So I'll be giving you the final review of the TCL QM8 51G. Spoiler, it's fantastic. So if you didn't have a lot of time to stick around, there you go. Now, I'm just going to rattle off some reasons why the TCL is fantastic without sounding like a spec sheet, okay? For starters, the thing is just way good with black levels. You're not going to have any blooming, even better than the Sony Bravia 9 above this TV, which is why I'm doing this review this way, so that you can clearly see, again, a $3,000 TV at the top, literally 3 times the price of the TCL QM8 51G. You're seeing just how amazing the TCL is. Again, to be fair, this is like the weakest Sony has ever been, but TCL is just showing you that they aren't getting beaten by what Sony processing is doing this year. And I think that in and of itself is an accomplishment worth mentioning. Another thing that I love about TCL is the profiles on the television make sense. So if it says vivid mode, it's going to be vivid mode. It's not going to lie to you and then be something else. But also low power mode is low power mode. But the thing is, you can get really beautiful different profiles that do different things. Like right now we're in low power mode, but it just looks the best. It has all the detail and everything, but it's not the brightest. But if you want bright, then you just go to vivid mode, and then there you go. Now you have bright and colorful and highlights that the Sony just is not capable of producing, because TCL, when it really needs to, can really just throw out some crazy highlights wherever it needs to. Another benefit of the TCL is that the TCL has beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sound options. You have bass boosting, you have high frequency boosting, vocal boosting. I mean, I'm not even joking. It's just all fully loaded. I'm going to open up the audio settings just so you can see some of what I was just mentioning a second ago, and you can see what I'm talking about. Bass enhancer, dialogue enhancer, definition enhancer, which is basically enriches the higher frequencies. It comes fully loaded, and you have a surround virtualizer, which virtually reproduces surround sound. It's damn good. And that's just on top of having all of the traditional settings that you would have, like a sports mode, a game mode, a voice mode for crisp and clear dialogue, music mode, movie mode, and standard, and then dynamic. It's fully loaded, and the audio is absolutely just to die for. Way better than what you'd have on the Sony. And it blew my mind to actually find that, because I did not expect that to be the case. And again, the amount of accuracy and detail that this thing is able to pull off with just the toggle of a preset alone is just mind-blowing. You can have really bright highlights, or you can have really detailed images, and you can choose back and forth between the two. And I think, again, one of the things I really love this year is the addition of their brand new performance mode, which, unlike most motion processing, you usually just turn it on and you go to blur reduction and jitter reduction and do what you want there. But TCL actually gives you the option between default image processing and then basically locking the refresh rate at 50 to 60 hertz all the time for everything. And then you can go and adjust motion processing parameters based on that, which is just game changing, quite literally, for video gamers. Very smooth, very slick, and an amazing experience. Then corner to corner, bezel to bezel, the thing literally looks so premium, you really won't find anything in its class at all to match it as far as its design, its aesthetic, any of that. And then you start talking about the features that it has. HGIG is great in gaming, but, you know, in the HDR effects, they give you a lot of options from, you know, detailed or a balance between detailed and brightness, or just brightness preferred. I mean, they give you a bevy of options to get the best HDR experience you can get out of the TCL. And you go watch some of my comparisons against the flagship S95D Quantum Dot OLED, and it just absolutely held its own in ways I never thought TCL would ever be able to do with a flagship Quantum Dot OLED television. I mean, the moral of the story here is, for $999, as pretty much the regular price now, the TCL QM8 51G is literally that TV. It's a flagship of flagships, taking names and kicking ass, and Sony's on that list, particularly with their Bravia 9. For everything the Bravia 9 offers, TCL comes through with a decent amount of offerings in a different area, and it is the far more convenient TV as well. They have a nice backlit remote, they have a ton of features. I mean, it's just the better TV by far when you're talking about mini LED, and truly, it's an absolute no-brainer. I could sit here all day and tell you all the good things that it did and does do, but I think it's kind of pointless. I will say I'm actually pretty shocked, because when I went on Amazon, I saw that it had like a 4.1 average or 4.3 average on amongst people that use a TV, to which all I could say is either people have no idea how to use the TCL, or they're just I don't know. They're just full of it, because when you use it properly, it comes to life. Now, to be fair, I am a master TV calibrator that knows the ins and outs of everything television. So it's not really fair to hold regular everyday people without that kind of training to those standards. But I will say this, for $4.99, you can take your TV from some bland, boring experience to what I'm showing you in this review between these two displays, because again, I do have two settings between the low power and the vivid mode options that will just transcend anything that you will find from anyone else, which is why my reviews sound very different from those other places. That being said though, the TCL is capable of that, and as a reviewer, it is my job to transparently show you all the ins and outs of what this TV can and cannot do. Now, what this TV cannot do is be a replacement for a quantum dot OLED. That will never happen because it does not have the same level of black level control and highlight details. Specifically, when we start talking about the S90D and the S95D, just forget about it. Buy those two TVs. They will destroy the TCL every day of the week. But when you start looking at mini LEDs or LEDs in general, like QLEDs, you're better off with the TCL QM8 51G, because it doesn't do a lot of the crap that we saw out of Hisense with posterization, really crappy motion and things of that nature. Even if the black levels are good and the brightness is good and the colors are good, the thing has to show pictures moving, and that's where a lot of the other TVs mess up. Ironically, the Bravia 9 above the TCL right now has brilliant motion in my opinion. It just lacks that color, and it lacks the price to value ratio that makes sense, along with being way too raised on the black levels, shadow details, all of that, very blurry. And honestly, it has some pretty subpar viewing angles for having the X wide angle. These things add for a subpar experience that honestly keep Sony from dominating in the way that it should. And again, you're seeing the TCL between just two modes be able to absolutely best the Sony. And I think that's something that not a lot of people are really ready to confront. And that just shows you as a consumer where TCL is and how far they've grown over the years. Go back into my backlog of videos and you can see I've had no love for TCL's mini LED TVs that have been terrible. There have been so many of them. And this is one, if not the best one they have ever made. And I will go ahead and give a highly recommended rating and mark on this television, because I think, again, if you're really just trying to get a nice big size television that is high quality as hell, this is going to be it, and it's not going to cost you a lot of money to do it. That being said, I want to thank you guys for watching the #1 brand in honesty. Until the next video, I'll see you guys later.